First thing I want to talk about is the magic of presence. What makes up your presence? I'm not talking about presents like, oh, well, I'm going to get a gift from somebody or give a gift. But in so many ways, your presence is your gift to life. You know, life is a gift from the divine. It is a gift to all of us. And our appreciation and gratitude is our gift back for the life that we live. And life is a gift from God. God is all that is. And our challenge is to learn to receive the gift. The gift. And one of the ways that you give back is through your presence. The magic of presence. And it begins, the first component is being awake. Being aware. As I mentioned, the first step in this series was self-awareness. But not to be aware of what's wrong with you, but to move beyond that. Yes, be aware of your vulnerabilities, be aware of your weaknesses, but also be aware of your strengths, to be aware of your power, your talent, your gifts, to be aware of the empowered self as well as the disempowered part of you. But self-awareness and being awake is being aware and being awake, being conscious. That means to think and to feel and to evaluate, not to go on automatic pilot. A person who's not awake is either agreeing or disagreeing with everyone around them. But they're not stopping to think, to feel, to evaluate, and to discern if this works for me or not. And the ego loves that. The ego loves to agree or disagree, but it doesn't want to ever take the responsibility of coming up with its own choices and decisions. Because then, who do I blame if I'm wrong? The ego loves to have a backup, a blame, somebody I can blame, so it doesn't want to take responsibility. But being awake is the first component. A person who's awake, they're conscious, has a sense of presence. It is the awareness of the fullness of yourself, the fullness of both the masculine and feminine within you, the feminine connected to that soul within you, and the masculine connected to your spirit, to understand that regardless of your gender, an awake person understands that they have the nature, the energy, the consciousness of masculine and feminine. And that's the first component of what is the magic of presence, is being awake, being conscious, thinking, feeling, evaluating, and discerning for yourself. And when you do that, you emanate a presence that this is my life, and I'm going to determine and I'm going to evaluate what's right for me. I'm not going to be told what I should and shouldn't do, because innately within us we know what's right. We know goodness and truth and beauty within us. We don't need to be manipulated and controlled into being a good person. As religion says, you're this worthless sinner. No, you're not. You never have been. But the truth is, the first component is the magic of presence, is being awake. The second component is then, in being awake, you want to explore. You explore, and a person who's an explorer goes into what? The unknown. Curious. Courageous. A person awake and a person with the magic of presence is got that curiosity and a courage to go into the unknown, to explore what they don't understand about themselves. Rather than judging it and trying to conform and fit in and ignoring it and elbowing out the parts of you that you don't understand, an explorer goes in to seek to understand, to pay attention to detail, to seek to understand. And so exploration is the second component. To being not only awake, but to have the magic of presence, is the willingness to be wrong in the search for what's right and true for you. Hear that. Being willing to be wrong. Oh, the ego says, I can't be wrong, I gotta be right. You know, the ego's terrified of being wrong. Because the ego says, well, if I do something wrong, if I make a mistake, if I fail at something, I am wrong. I am a mistake. I am a failure. It identifies what it does and what it has with who it is. And you're not that. You're not. You can make mistakes and you're not a mistake. It's a part of growth. It's a part of exploring the unknown. To go down a few dead ends. And many of you here have done that. You've explored, different philosophies and different religions and different teachers and different things, and you've gone down dead ends where it's like, yeah, I thought I would try this and it didn't pan out. That's fine. Be your own explorer. But it's the willingness to be wrong in the search for what's right and true for you. It is exploring the mysteries. It is exploring the possibilities. of what could go right. It's exploring the metaphysical aspect of life. A person who's awake is a conscious of the metaphysics of life. What does that mean? Metaphysics simply means beyond the physical. So what's beyond the physical about you? It's about every human being. Every human being is metaphysical. Because what's non-physical is your attitude, your beliefs, your thoughts and your feelings. Now you can see the expression of feeling, but you don't see the energy of anger or love. You can't contain it. You can't measure it. You can't put it in a laboratory and say, we have 4.5 grams of love and 2.9 grams of hurt. You can't contain it. It's invisible. It's energy. It's metaphysical. And that's what metaphysics is beyond the physical. Your imagination, your creativity, your passion, your purpose, your destiny, your soul, your spirit, all these things are metaphysical. And yet people, the ego says, well, if I can't measure it, it must not exist. It must not be real. And that's sad. So the explorer in the second step of the magic of presence is willing to go into the metaphysics and to explore the complexity of yourself, the complexity of life. The ego says, oh, no, I want it to be simple. Just tell me what's right and what's wrong. Just give me a rule book religion to tell me what I need to do to get in the gates of heaven, and I'll follow the rules as best I can, which nobody ever does. I don't want to think and feel and be responsible. I want you to be responsible. So the complexity versus simplicity. And there's so many people in the metaphysics say, oh, you just want to simplify your life. Everything's about being simple, simple, simple. And here's a paradox. I've mentioned this in previous classes, but the paradox is this: the more you try to make your life simple, the more difficult it becomes. I teach this in the Moving Beyond Struggle class. The more I try to make something simple, the more difficult it becomes. It's a paradox. And the more I allow things to be complex, not difficult, complex. Complexity is not difficulty. It's intricate. It's got many moving parts. The more I can let things be complex, the easier my life becomes. That's a paradox. And a good example is in a relationship. The simple answer is, let's just not talk about our feelings. That's simple. But it leads to a very difficult reality, a very difficult relationship. But if I can go into the complexity that you have emotions and I have emotions and I have a background and I have past pain and hurt and you have past pain and hurt, and we can work through that and we can seek to understand each other. That's much more complex, but leads to a much more easier and successful relationship. So that's what I'm talking about here. And metaphysics and spirituality is complex. And I've had people come to some of my classes and they're like, oh, that Michaiel, he just makes you think too much. He has too much to think about. I just want it to be simple. I just want to be able to count my rosaries. And I just want to inhale enough incense while I meditate. And that'll make me spiritual. Well, good luck on that. Let me know if that works. Because I've never experienced anybody who's done that. But my point is it is complex. And so are you. You're complex. Life is complex. We're not children anymore. And it's those people functioning in the adolescent, in the child ego that says, oh, this is too much to think about. I don't want to expand. And that's okay. They're not ready to yet. That doesn't mean they won't ever. And they will eventually. But timing is everything. So the third component of being the magic of presence and having that sparkle, having that confidence that speaks louder than words. My mother used to tell me when I was a little boy, I had no idea where she got this from, but she used to say, who you are speaks louder than any words you can say. And I thought, I've never forgotten that. Who you are. Not what you do and what you have, but who you are speaks louder than any words you can say. And that is so true. It is so true. And that is the magic of presence. And I've told people on here before, but sometimes I live in a major metropolitan city, San Francisco. And I'll be out with friends, for lunch in the afternoons downtown, and it's busy, and there's lots of tourists. San Francisco is a major tourist destination. And I'll be in a street corner, getting ready to cross, waiting for the light to change, and there'll be like 50 people all around, walking around, and there'll be a tourist. And they'll come all the way out of their way to come over to me, which they do not know, to ask for directions. I'm like this direction magnet. But people sense that I can trust this person, or there's this presence about them. But they'll come, and my friends have a joke about it because it happens all the time. And especially when I'm out there and I'm, radiating my energy. Now I can shield myself and I can shut that down, but I'm just saying usually I don't do that. But my point being is that who you are speaks louder than words, and your very presence is that sparkle. So the third component of the magic of presence is that energy of giving and receiving. The giving and receiving, the balance of self. The giving and receiving, the balance of the whole self, the feminine and the masculine, to give and to receive in balance and harmony. You see, we're taught and conditioned from religion, you just got to give. It's better to give than to receive, and that might be true, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't receive. But giving and receiving, the balance of the masculine and feminine, regardless of your gender, to give love, to give compliments, and then to let yourself receive them. And if you're out of balance, it's like, oh, I can give and I can take care of everybody else and I can love them. But the minute they start doing something nice for me, and they send me a compliment, I feel guilty and I shut down. That's not a person of confidence or presence. So giving and receiving is this third resonance energy of what the magic of presence is. It is honoring and valuing that within yourself, and knowing that as you receive, you're giving other people the opportunity and the joy to give. And you're taking away their pleasure if you refuse to receive. You're taking away their pleasure. So the third component is that giving and receiving. The fourth component, it is a loyalty. It's functioning, the magic of presence is having a loyalty of self and others, but a loyalty of self, a sense of commitment to your growth, to your evolution. It is that sense of, I'm ready to be loyal to my truth, to own my truth, to define my truth, and to live it with loyalty. To live my truth with loyalty is the next energy that brings in the presence. A person who they are speaks louder than any words they can say. And that is the fourth component. The fifth component is a person with the magic of presence is a visionary. They have a vision. They're not just a person who's always talking about the past. Well, the reason I can't do this, the reason I'm not good, this is because if you knew what I was raised, if you knew how stuck I was, if you knew what happened to me in my childhood, don't you know I'm an adult child of blah, 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 blah. You know, traditional psychotherapy is really great at labeling people's problems. And they're really, really good at fixating on the past. But you know what? The solutions, the soul-utions to your issues in life aren't found in the past. It's about your relationship to the future. Who you are becoming is what's causing things to happen in your life today, not who you've been. Who you are becoming. And when you don't have a sense of a vision of your future, a sense of who you are becoming, then you go into the past and you go into mediocrity and you go into just survival mode, struggle mode. So having a vision of your future, the vision of your possibilities, your potential, having that, and not only with yourself, but to be that for others, to be the visionary for others, to see their potential, to encourage them, to inspire them to grow, to become more of themselves, not to fixate them on the past. And it's so easy, especially in close friendships that have been old, you know, from childhood, and that people tend to put each other in this box and they don't want to let them out. They don't want them to see somebody changing and growing and becoming more. They're like, oh, you're always this way, you'll never change. That's not true. And relationships tend to grow apart when that happens. But the vision, to be a visionary, is a person with presence that has an eye on the future and is functioning in the present moment, meaning they have a destination of being who they are destined to be, an empowered person. They're not fixated on the poor me of the past and the victim and all that. They've moved beyond it. Not that it didn't happen, not to discount it, but they don't identify themselves with it. They don't live it and breathe it like this is who I am and this is who I'll always be. So many people get stuck there. So that's the fifth component. The sixth component of the magic of presence is passion with its compassion. Hear that? Passion with its compassion. Passion is a feminine energy. Passion is this dynamic seeking to become one. The ultimate spiritual passion is your desire to come home, to become one again with God, Goddess, all that is. That's your passion for life. To seek to become one. And it's a feminine energy. And that's why in the chauvinistic dominating world, men who don't identify with their own feminine energy, their own sense of passion, try to take it from women, trying to get it from women to make up for their, quote, lack. And it's compassion that is a masculine energy. So a magic of presence is this balance of being passionate and compassionate. Because passion without compassion can quickly burn out. It can quickly fizzle. But when there's compassion to temper it, when compassion and passion work together, there's a balance and harmony. And that, a person of passion, doesn't mean they're loud and crazy and vivacious and notice me, look how strange I am, and see how passionate that person is. Oh, they just do whatever they want, they wear whatever they want, they're just loud and they're all seeking attention, right? Getting attention. A passionate person doesn't have to do that. They don't have to display their uniqueness. And most of them don't. They just have this passion, this seeking to become one. They have something that they do creatively. They do something in the way they communicate could be their passion. That's one of my passions, is to teach and to share. It can be music, to become one with that instrument, to become one with that basketball as I'm playing my favorite sport, to become one with the tennis and the court and the wind and the air and the light and the partner that I'm playing tennis against, to become one in that moment. Passion is that seeking to become one. And that what does it for you may not do it for the person next to you or your partner or your husband or your wife. But passion with compassion. Compassion is a special kind of caring. To care is what compassion is. And when you don't have compassion, you go into apathy and indifference. And that, first of all, it throws a bucket of water. Indifference and apathy throws a bucket of water on your passion and it gets extinguished. And you no longer have that part of your presence, the passion and compassion. Because indifference and apathy is very destructive. And it's a crisis in our world, unfortunately. People are afraid to open their hearts and care. They're afraid because they've been hurt, they've been wounded, they've been disappointed, so they've shut down their heart and gone into apathy, which is an emotional anesthetic. And unfortunately, it works temporarily, but it always leads to self-destruction. So you don't want to spend much time in apathy and indifference. Not only does it quickly putrefy into boredom, but into depression and into, I don't feel like I want to exist anymore. So your passion and compassion is so vital in not only the magic of your presence, but some of the keys to functioning with confidence. And then seventhly and finally, what makes up the magic of presence is wholeness. Having that completion, that sense of self, where I feel and honor the different aspects of myself. What does that mean? The archetypes in your consciousness. See, we all have these different archetypes, and we often, because of our upbringing and our childhood and our religious beliefs and our social beliefs and our family function, we elbow out one or the other, and we're never completely whole. For instance, the most obvious is your masculine or feminine energy. Well, because I'm male and my body's masculine, it means I don't have any feminine energy. So I disidentify that with that, and that's where I get out of balance. Because regardless of your gender, you have both. But beyond that, it's also the creator in you and its counterpart in this world of duality, the counterpart, the creator and the destroyer. Oh, destroyer, oh, that's negative, that's bad, that's wrong. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Because truly, anytime you need to create something, you need to destroy something else. Creation and destruction work together. To create, and the world is in a place of destruction where things are crumbling and a new creation is being formed. A new world, a new system for functioning, a new way is being represented, coming forward. But the old has to crumble to make space for the new. If you have an addiction or a bad habit, you want to destroy it. You don't want to just love it into, let me accept this about myself. I want to let go of it. I want to cut that out. It's destructive to me and my future and to my family and my friends. And I need that energy, that quote, aggression. You see in a world that says, ooh, aggression is, because we see the ugliness of aggression, but aggressiveness is a part of nature. It's a part of life. And to bring that into balance within yourself, to have that aggression with passion and compassion where it's tempered, where it's not the ego version of hostility and violence. That's different. See, they're different words. Hostility, violence, and aggression. Well, the masculine energy is an aggressive energy. It wants to go out and take action. It wants to do something. I don't want to sit and daydream all day about, in my imagination, with my feminine energy. I want to go out and make it happen. I want to take action. That's aggressive. So the wholeness of self is the creator, the destroyer. There's another pairing that most people get into judgment with, that I've noticed in my private sessions with people and that I've worked with on myself growing up, and that is the nurturer and the warrior. Oh, I gotta pick and choose which one am I gonna be in this lifetime. How about both? How about there are times to be the warrior and there's times to nurture? How about bringing the two together instead of saying either or? And see, a person of presence has a sense of wholeness about them. They have a strength and they have a tenderness. They have love and they have compassion and they have a strong will, and they can set boundaries and say, no, that is not appropriate. I'm not going to do that. They know themselves and they're in this sense of wholeness where, as I mentioned in the last class on self-love, love begins by saying, yes, I want affirmation. It wants to be affirmed. It wants to be appraised. It wants to, yes, 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 I'll do this for you. Yes, yes. But then love needs to mature to be able to say, no, I will not do this because I love you. I will not bring this bottle of wine for dinner because I know you're struggling with alcoholism. And just because you may not like it, your ego may not like it, I'm going to love you enough to do the right thing for you. That is a love that says no, that has boundaries. You see the difference? And the person of magic of presence is they have this wholeness to them where they can be the warrior or the nurturer. They can be the creator and the destroyer. They don't judge them and say one's better than and one's less than. They don't go into this imbalance. They can see the fact that everyone has this masculine and feminine energy. And my energy of being, the feminine, has been so wounded by the world, by what we've been taught and conditioned in the world, that's the part that is so important in the healing towards wholeness. So, in that segment, I took a lot of time going over that, but that's what the magic of presence is. Gosh, this was a long time ago. I was probably like late 20s, maybe, mid to late 20s, and I was living in Florida at the time, and I was single, and I would go to the beach, Cocoa Beach, and I'd hang out at different places, and and there was I remember there's one bar I used to hang out at in Orlando, not at Cocoa Beach, but in Orlando, and I went there, and it was a Sunday afternoon. It was like an afternoon place to hang out, and I was feeling kind of lonely and disconnected and needy, and poor me. I was in all this funk at that time. And I remember going out and really wanting to meet somebody and connect and have a good conversation and all that stuff. So I went out and nobody noticed me. I mean, I was just like invisible. And I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was feeling, lonely and needy and all that stuff. And I was around a lot of people in this bar that is a neighborhood place that I used to know. I didn't know a lot of people there, but I used to go from time to time. And I was just like, and I was so frustrated. Of course, my ego comes in and tries to justify why that happened. Oh, well, you're too fat, or what I was wearing was inappropriate, or I came up with some kind of excuse. And that was on a Sunday. Then the next week, Sunday, I went to the beach in the morning, which is about an hour drive, and I was out on the beach. I was connecting with the elements. I was surfing and in the water and just having a great day by myself. And on the way home, I decided, I'm going to stop by that same place I was at the week before. And I wasn't even I was in like shorts and, gritty from being in the sun all day and the suntan on my skin. And I go in there and I was in this place of wholeness. I was in this place of feeling really good about myself, feeling connected. And all of a sudden I was like flooded with people coming by and saying hello and buying drinks and talking, and it was just like night and day from the week before. Now, no, I didn't lose 10 more pounds, and I didn't dress. I was actually worse dressed than I was the time before, but my presence, my energy was I'm needy, and I want to get it. I'm feeling sorry for myself and feeling lonely, and that just shut down the light. When I could expose the light and be myself and just, and I learned that lesson back then. I thought, wow, it wasn't what I was wearing. It wasn't that I needed to lose weight. It wasn't, it was my energy. And